That's what's also, for me, very validating about the work is that occasionally I do run across someone who feels they're someone of note, but most of the time, and I would say 90% of the time, maybe even 95% of the time, people are just everyday, normal people. And so the fact that it's normal most of the time, I guess, makes me feel that this is very valid, because why would we make up some of this stuff?
Right.
It's not very elaborate. So, and people go, wow, I just don't know where that's coming from. That feels so real, and it feels like this is me, and I was just a regular person.
Do you recommend that people go through past lives regression?
You know, I do. It changed my life. It helped me let go of a lot of different things and just understand myself better. I don't think there's any better way to understand yourself than by going through a past life regression.
How long does it take?
Typically an hour and a half. At the time we discuss what we're going to be doing, and then we go on the journey, and then we kind of come back from the journey, and we have to kind of talk through what just happened. And because at the end of the journey, usually I'll try to take people out into a future memory where they're happy and they're healthy, and the things that they came in to leave behind have been resolved. And so when they come back from all that, I want to make sure we talk through what they're going to need to do to move forward and to really own the things that came up for them in the journey, so that they can be more peaceful as they move forward.
Is the foundation for this hypnosis?
Yes, it is hypnosis, but again, it's very light hypnosis. The brain waves are operating at different levels, so when we're awake, we're in a beta mode, so I just take people into alpha state, which is just, just deep breathing, relaxation. So it's almost like I am a guided meditation CD, so we're just breathing, we're relaxing, but people are still fully aware of everything that's going on around them. They're just having pictures, thoughts, and feelings come up that they've never seen before, because they have never been asked these questions before, usually.
We're going to take calls with Shelley Kerr next hour. Questions for her, perhaps if you've had a past life. Do people sometimes dream about their past lives without going into regression?
Yes, all the time. One of my other favorites, a friend of mine said that her husband was having nightmares, and he was tossing and turning, and he was talking about wars, and he was one of these Civil War reenactors.
Ah, okay.
And so...
Maybe because he needed to stay close to that.
Yeah, there's something. There's something his subconscious and his higher self were working out through the dreams, absolutely.
But he was having dreams of being in the Civil War?
Yes, and then he had a regression, and he was in the Civil War, but he was a Union soldier instead of a Confederate.
Did he get killed?
He actually survived, and he saw himself in a scene where he was looking at the Confederate soldiers and wanting to be a part of that rather than what he was doing for whatever reason. It was very strange.
Have you ever had somebody under hypnosis looking for that past life who just breaks down and starts crying and sobbing?
It's not as common as we would think, but yes, absolutely. I have one client now I can think of that's coming to mind. She does get real emotional.
While under hypnosis?
Yes. Normally, we've got a ball of light around people, and they're floating into events very gently. So sometimes it's not about trauma as much, like people aren't getting traumatized by viewing the events as much as sometimes the epiphanies they're having about themselves, like when they realize, oh my gosh, I don't need to do X, Y, Z anymore, or I can be more peaceful now because I see more about myself. That is more of an emotional reaction, really.
Well, then who gets emotional, the individual or the past life person?
I guess it's a combination of both. Sometimes they're emoting about some tragedy that happened to the person in the past life, and sometimes, though, they're emoting because they sense that something that's been burdening them for maybe their whole life has now gotten up and left, and that can be very emotional.
Other than past life regression and hypnosis, Why do we have a barrier about remembering our past lives? Is it some kind of protective mechanism?
There's that school of thought in the ancient Greeks believed that the soul, when we're born, we dip into the river of forgetfulness so that when we're coming out into this life, we can be a blank slate and we can come out and start learning lessons from scratch. And I have occasionally met people who claim that they did not forget and that they remember everything from the past, but it's normal that most of us, when we come into this life, we do not remember the things. And that, I think, is part of the challenge as we're in this life, moving through like the dark, trying to find ourselves and trying to, recognize who we really are throughout our lifetime.
Shelley, when I was younger, in my teens, I would think a lot about past lives and regression. And I came to the theory of reincarnation, that you reincarnate until you get to a level of perfection, call it heaven, and you don't reincarnate anymore because there's no need to. How accurate was I, or not?
I think that there's definitely, I think that's true. I think that the soul is making different decisions.
When do you stop reincarnating?
That is a great question. We would like to think that when we've evolved to a certain point, perhaps, then we're going to stop reincarnating. But then I wonder about that. Like, would I want to just stop reincarnating? What would I do?
Isn't reincarnation a process where technically every life you live, you're supposed to get a little more evolved and better as a person?
Yes, absolutely.
So a serial killer, let's say 25 years ago, who dies, comes back, technically should be a little better than what he was the last life, right?
Right.
And they get better and better and better. It may take him 100 lives, who knows, to get to that level of perfection. But that's what I always thought it was. You just keep getting better, you learn more, you evolve. And the mere fact that you, for example, are talking this way in such a spiritual way, I don't think you're going to reincarnate anymore. I think you're at that level where you've reached the epitome.
Oh, I don't know. When I hear people say that, this is my last life, I just always think that sounds so egotistical, I feel like, well, what if we're here to help people? Maybe
you could be the assigned helper, and that's why they send you back. But I think in terms of just being human, you've reached that level. You can't get any more spiritual than you are at this point, right?
As long as we're still here, I am always of the mindset that myself and others are still learning. There's still more to learn, or, even if it's more people to help, or I don't know. I just feel like I'm not done yet. So
Shelley, here with us. We're going to take calls next hour, questions about reincarnation, and also if you want to talk about a past life that you may have had, tell us how that you came to know that. And that's what I have to ask Cleopatra if she calls. How specifically she knows she was Cleopatra. I don't think she has taken a past life and had regression. So how would she know?
There is a phenomenon that Carl Jung identified that was also discussed by Plato called anamnesis, which is a soul knowing, where the soul just simply knows who it was, it knows what it did, and it doesn't need to go into altered states. So it's possible that your friend just knows. And so I hope she calls. That would be
I hope she does. Her name's Louise, and we will find out. But, she really does know. But you could ask her things about Cleopatra that most people will never know, and she's got answers for. It's incredible. I think she could have written the script about Cleopatra when Elizabeth Taylor played the part.
That's amazing.
She knows that much. She knows about Mark Antony. She knows all that stuff. It's just truly remarkable. Indeed. Have you ever come across anybody who was Jesus or anything like that?
I regress someone who believed he was James from the Bible.
Oh, really? And do you think maybe he might have been?
I guess I'm always a bit skeptical about these cases. again, I guess, what...
Well, they're not making it up if they're under hypnosis, are they?
Well, it could be archetypal. I mean, I guess it depends the detail. Like the detail that you're saying that Louise has about Cleopatra, if I don't feel the details are there, then I don't know for sure. But then again, I'm not really one to judge.
Oh, yeah, but under regression, they're not lying.
No, they're not. No. You just then, at that point, have to say, is it archetypal? I mean, we could ask that about any regression.
What does that mean?
Like, if I believe that I was, a pirate, let's say.
Okay.
On a ship. So.
And maybe you were.
Was I a pirate, or did I just enjoy Johnny Depp's performance, in the show? I mean, we can get into those kinds of skeptical things.
And you think hypnosis could not decipher that?
I think it's possible. I mean, back to that Bridie Murphy case about that woman in Ireland I talked about at the beginning of the show. That case ended up being widely scrutinized and debunked by some people who thought that this woman must have watched all of these things on a television show and that this material was in her subconscious mind, so she was able to project it out and think that this was her life. And so, sometimes, because again, I have my opinions. I believe that we've lived before. And yet, because, I'm not God, I mean, I don't know for sure. So I'm sometimes a bit skeptical. And I'm also open to the idea that as long as whatever emerges from the regression session, in this case, if the gentleman believes he was James's brother, and if that's empowering him to lead a better life and be better towards his fellow beings, then to me, that's really the bottom line.
All right, let's take calls with you next, Shelley, on Coast to Coast AM.
Get daily show updates right to your inbox for free with the Coast Zone newsletter. Sign up today at coasttocoastam.com.
Don't look to a stranger, in the end, I'll always be there. And when you're in doubt, and when you're in danger, take a look all around.
KFI AM 640.
After all the time inside our homes this past year, the time is now to get outdoors. The all-new Avello Airlines is inspiring travel with flights starting as low as $19. Experience incredible wine tasting to national parks to epic outdoor adventures at the West's most beautiful destinations. With $19 fares, why not be spontaneous? Visit AvelloAir.com. That's AvelloAir.com and book your flight today. Avello Airlines. Surprisingly low fares, refreshingly smooth travel. AvelloAir.com. Restrictions may apply. Visit AvelloAir.com for details.
Still buying bottled water? Really? Eliminate the cost and hassle of buying, it's wasteful plastic water bottles with what it does to the environment. So let me suggest a Life Source whole house water filtration system where you can have this delicious, clean, filtered water coming out of every tap in your home. And there are no filters to change once they install it, no maintenance at all. You actually forget about it. And what the Life Source water system does reduces the odor and taste of chlorine from your water. And not only are you hydrating your body, your skin, your hair will thank you too. You're buying directly from the factory, which provides installation and customer service for the life of your system. They've been around for 36 years here in Southern California. And if you're looking to join a growing team, Life Source is hiring team members in your area. Call 800-334-5009, 800-334-5009. Visit lifesourcewater.com. Life Source Water. Taste and feel the difference.
There are no limits to what we can do together. So let's keep rising, California.
Esquina, esquina, y ahí nos vamos. El mundo es grande, pero lo tengo en mis manos. Estoy muy duro, sí, ok, ahí vamos. Y con el tiempo nos seguimos elevando.
Get vaccinated and wear a mask when it can protect you and others. Your actions save lives. To learn more, visit covid19.ca.gov.
¿Y dónde está mi gente?
KFI AM 640. Well, at least you've decided to listen to KFI. See, you're making progress. KFI AM 640 Los Angeles, Orange County.
And KOST HD2.
It's 5 a.m. What did you miss?
It's time Jennifer Jones-Lee.
Well, good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Hope you're having a nice morning. Here's what's just ahead on your wake-up call. I've got more on that tip line that is open to find the driver of a Tesla who may have been threatened by the same couple charged in the road rage killing of a young boy in Orange. This is crazy how many tentacles this story seems to have prior to the actual killing of Aiden Leos. Just bizarre story. An appeals court has blocked a federal judge's decision to overturn that 3 decades-old ban on assault weapons in California. And do you have some kids? They might actually make you some money. Unlike my father, who says, hey, when you make your first million, he'll be waiting a long time. But he says I owe him. Probably do. 5:05, we'll talk with ABC's Karen Travers. President Biden is expected to fall short of his commitment to send 80 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine abroad by June. But we'll find out from Karen what hurdles the president's promise has faced when we talk with her in just a few minutes. But let's begin with some of these stories coming out of the KFI 24-hour newsroom. A tip line is open to find the driver of a blue Tesla who may have been threatened by the same couple charged in the road rage killing of a young boy in Orange.
Prosecutors say Marcus Aras, who's charged with murder, and Win Lee, who's charged as an accessory, admitted to brandishing a gun at the driver.
That allegedly occurred about a week after the May 21st shooting of Aiden Leos.
OCDA Todd Spitzer says any more road rage reports involving the couple's white Volkswagen could help.
Any interaction with that vehicle or the 2 individuals that we've charged with crimes here in Orange County.
Aras and Lee have pleaded not guilty. Tips can be called in to 714-834-7000 or emailed to tips@da.ocgov.com. In Orange County, Corbin Carson, KFI News.
An appeals court panel has blocked a federal judge's decision to overturn the 3 decades-old ban on assault weapons in California. The group issued the ruling yesterday. Earlier this month, a judge in San Diego had ruled the ban violates the constitutional right to bear arms. The state's current assault weapons law will stay in effect while the case plays out in court. People with kids will soon have a little extra cash in their pockets.
Can I pay the internet? Can I pay the gas bills? Or the electricity bills?
Those are the questions that Alejandro Lopez says will be easier to answer as the extra $300 a month starts showing up in a few weeks. LA Democratic Congressman Jimmy Gomez says the monthly expanded child tax credit checks mean instant relief.
It is transformative in its nature because for the first time you don't have to wait a full year to get it.
And for Lopez, she says this means getting a little closer to making ends meet.
What this means to us, this credit, it's a band-aid.
In Boyle Heights, Chris Ancarlo, KFI News.
Well, a tiny village has opened for homeless people in Echo Park. City officials say the transitional housing village has been set up in a former parking lot. It has nearly 40 tiny homes in it, showers, bathrooms, laundry services, and even an area for dogs. Residents will get medical care and meals, in addition to counseling and case management services. A civil rights lawsuit has been filed against 7 LA County Sheriff's deputies by a guy who alleges he was hit in the face dozens of times, even though he wasn't resisting arrest. Now, the suit filed by Christopher Bailey says he was on his way home from work last year when deputies stopped him in Inglewood and allegedly beat him. Bailey says he lost sight in one eye as a result. The Sheriff's Department says use of force incidents that cause injury are unfortunate, but it can't comment further. Veterans say they're giving up on the Irvine City Council's ability to choose a place for a state veteran cemetery in Orange County. Veterans Alliance of OC President Nick Borodino says the politics of played have delayed the multi-million-dollar cemetery long enough.
We are asking that the county, through its cemetery district, pursue the possibility of building a veteran cemetery there because we can't wait any longer. It's been 10 years.
Tonight, the Irvine City Council could choose between 2 sites at the former Marine Corps Air Station in El Toro. This council will likely face lawsuits, though, from supporters of whichever site was not chosen. The Orange County Grand Jury has criticized agencies that oversee the county's toll roads, saying they should be trying to get rid of debt and transition to freeways. A report by the grand jury recommends the agency should come up with a plan to pay off all debt by 2040. It says that would allow the 91 Express contractor and other projects to be finished and result in savings of about $1 billion. All right, when we come back, we'll talk with ABC's Karen Travers about the president's plan to send 80 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine overseas. It doesn't look like he may make that goal. We'll talk about what some of the hurdles are in just a second. But right now, let's take a look at your drive. Hi, Robin. Welcome back.
Hi, thanks, Sam, and same to you. A little late, but yeah, it's good to be back, yeah. Let's go to Pasadena, 210 West at the 134. This was a crash investigation overnight, happened about 1 in the morning or so, and they just wrapped it up. So we cleared all the lanes, 210 West at the 134. It looks like traffic picked up pretty well after that. You might still see something on the right shoulder here. Boyle Heights on the 5 northbound after the 510 northern split. That's a wreck with a big rig and 3 other cars. 2 left lanes are closed. Not a huge delay for you, though. It's still kind of early. In Long Beach, a hit and run, a 405 north at Long Beach Boulevard. That victim in the right lane waiting on CHP. In Willowbrook on 105 east at Wilmington Avenue, 2-car wreck here. It's reported in the carpool lane. Just a slight delay as you approach. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Robin Bix.
5:06 on your wake-up call. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Karen Travers, good morning to you. So first, let's go back and talk about the president's commitment, his promise to send 80 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine overseas. When was that made?
Yeah, he said on May 17th that over the next 6 weeks, the U.S. would send 80 million doses out around the world. So, over the next 6 weeks means the end of June. So there are a lot of questions now as we head toward that deadline that the president had laid out about whether they're going to meet it. And yesterday, the White House says that fewer than 10 million of those doses have shipped out so far. So they've got a lot to do. And it's clear they're not going to hit that by July 1st. Now, the White House doesn't seem to spun up about this or saying it's not a significant delay. They'll get out, but not in the next couple of days. And interestingly, we heard from the White House yesterday that a lot of the backlog here is not on the U.S. end of it, but it's largely what's happening once it gets to other countries. Jen Psaki blamed regulatory, transportation, and customs issues. She called this a Herculean logistical challenge and said the supply is there. People shouldn't be worried that, the U.S. isn't good for these doses. It's just a matter of getting them to where they need to go, and things like storage temperature, making sure things don't break, making sure the vaccines can immediately, quickly clear customs overseas. I hadn't thought about this, but apparently these things take some time. It's not just as simple as FedExing the doses and then they get to where they need to go.
And it's so frustrating too, because when you think about passing customs, you're thinking, in some cases, this is a matter of life and death. Are you kidding me? We're going to let the red tape of customs stop this?
Yeah, I mean, you'd think there's a way to speed this up.
Yeah.
But apparently not. Apparently they still have to go through the normal protocols. Look, these countries are obviously very eager to get them, and I think they're probably doing whatever they can to make sure that they can get them quickly. But they do take some time. And this is separate from that promise that we had talked about last week when the president pledged while he was in England that the U.S. would buy 500 million doses of the Pfizer vaccine. That's going to go to COVAX this year and into 2022, so hopefully they get some of these issues worked out. So once those doses are available, the COVAX team, the global immunization campaign, can get them out quickly where they need to go.
Okay, and are we worried then that that promise also will face these same types of hurdles?
They haven't said that yet. I think they'll say, it's a long ways away. Hopefully they can start working out some of the kinks. This is really the first major donation from the U.S., certainly. And though the administration will quickly point out that this is significantly larger than what anybody else has done already so far, because China and Russia have made a lot of commitments, made a lot of promises to countries, but in terms of actually getting the vaccine out, the White House says the U.S. is absolutely leading the way. But as we're seeing, they're leading the way, but kind of slowly right now.
Exactly. All right, Karen, thank you. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. See ya. ABC's Karen Travers. And on one hand, that's got to be incredibly frustrating for the administration. We've got the doses here, and we're willing to give it to you and pass it out. But because of all this red tape, you're keeping all these doses we're willing to give you from the people that actually need them. But if you look at the flip side, you say, hey, Biden administration, You're supposed to know no more than Karen knows or I know about the red tape that you're going to have to go through. Things like customs and things like certain countries have certain restrictions that others don't. You're supposed to know that. So don't make promises that you can't keep. Because what happens is you give your detractors, you give your opponents so much fodder to come back at you for. And look, well, he didn't get all those doses like he said he would. Well, look, it doesn't look like you're going to get the full 70% of the of Americans vaccinated by the 4th of July, and he said he was going to do that. Even if you've got a big majority of states who are actually hitting those numbers. I just wonder, when you put out these hard, fast dates, is that the smartest thing to do? I think it's a great goal, and I kind of saw in the beginning, remember when the president first took office, he said he wanted to get 100 million people vaccinated by, I forget what the exact date was. Anyway, that was easily achieved because it was sort of a low bar. You knew you were going to get that many people vaccinated. But when you start talking about dates and promises, and you've got to deal with the international community and all of the hurdles that go along with it, you go, I don't know if we should be putting up those hard, fast dates. I don't know. I'm a great Monday morning quarterback, aren't I? Let's get back to some of the stories coming out of the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The Senate's expected to vote on whether to open debate on voting rights bills today. ABC's IIHS says the vote's expected to fail because Republicans don't support it.
The vote is expected early this evening. Using the current 60-vote requirement, Republicans have also blocked the passage of a bill that would have created an independent commission to investigate the attack on the Capitol.
Democrat Joe Manchin, who made changes to the bill, isn't saying how he'll vote. Well, the NCAA could face more legal challenges after yesterday's Supreme Court ruling that the NCAA can't limit educational benefits that colleges give to student athletes. Tulane University sports law expert Gabe Feldman says he thinks attorneys are already preparing cases to disrupt the NCAA's control of college athletics.
It's only a matter of time before another lawsuit is filed that asks for the whole system to be blown up and argues that any restriction on athlete compensation is illegal.
Feldman says the ruling does not affect NCAA rules prohibiting salaries for student athletes, only its limits on educational benefits. We're going to talk more about this at 5:35 with ABC's Aaron Katursky, but I heard a great way to sort of define what yesterday's argument was. What this came down is, so the NCAA cannot limit educational benefits that colleges give student athletes. What exactly does that mean? That means, this is the way that I heard it explained, that if you go to a certain school and you're going there for band and you're on a saxophone scholarship, this school can't be limited, or because you're there on the scholarship playing your saxophone for the school is now allowed to give you a new saxophone if you need it, or as incentive, or whatever the case may be. So it's things that are specifically related to whatever you're there for. So in this case, sports. A defensive lineman for the Las Vegas Raiders has come out as the first active openly gay player in the NFL. Carl Nassib says he's a private person, but he wants to help provide more representation for members of the LGBTQ community.
I actually hope that one day videos like this and the whole coming out process are just not necessary. But until then, I'm going to do my best and do my part to cultivate a culture that's accepting, that's compassionate.
Nassib says he's also donating $100,000 to the Trevor Project, which focuses on preventing suicides among LGBTQ youth. An NFL player has been arrested during a traffic stop in South LA for allegedly possessing a concealed weapon. The LAPD says officers pulled over Kansas City Chiefs defensive end Frank Clark for an unspecified violation on Sunday night. Cops say they arrested Clark and 3 other people in the car when they saw a submachine gun sticking out of a bag. Clark was released on bond yesterday. New York Mets pitcher Jacob deGrom is the first player to be checked for using sticky substances under a new rule in Major League Baseball. Did you see this? I watched the video yesterday. So umpires go to the mound in last night's game against the Braves to make sure that he wasn't cheating. deGrom says he's okay with that.
No, they said going into it they were going to check, and I expected it. It is what it is, and they wanted to go ahead and check, and that was fine.
So they looked under his hat, they looked under his belt, looking for any of those sticky substances. Major League Baseball's new rule cracks down on pitchers using sticky substances to unfairly change the ball's performance. All right, when we come back, I want to tell you which airline plans to hire 1,000 pilots by next summer. And I think that this is a big deal considering yesterday we were talking about American Airlines canceling, 50 to 80 flights a day until mid-June because of a shortage there, a staffing shortage. I'll also tell you which company is buying more and more self-driving big rigs, and I'm wondering if this could signal its plans on ditching drivers. And how much would you pay for a wine tasting? Regular old wine tasting. You go to the vineyard, you go to their big fancy tasting room. I don't know, I expect what, $20 a person maybe? Okay, $40 at the super fancy ones, $50. But wait till you hear what some people are willing to pay for a freaking swig of wine. That's all I'm saying. That you're supposed to spit out. I mean, you're supposed to taste it and spit it and go on to the next one, right? This is insane. These are people who have more money than sense. That's all I'm going to judge, and I'm going to say this is dumb, Robin Vick.
You carry around your own little bucket and you swish it around and then you spit it out?
Yeah, I mean, basically. I mean, there's a thing. I've always thought wine tasting is so nasty because you literally sit there and you look at each other and you smell and you go, I smell oak. And what? Please, you don't smell oak. You smell wine.
A little hint of vinegar and honey. I don't know.
Exactly. Oh, please. Like any of us knows what we're talking about.
Exactly.
All right, what's going on the 105?
All right, we do have a crash in Willowbrook on the 105 eastbound just before Wilmington Avenue. It is a 3-car crash. Carpool lane's going to be blocked for a little bit here. Starting to see just a little bit of a slowdown right around Central. South LA on the 110 South connector to the 105 eastbound. It is a brush fire right shoulder next to the transition, so probably an encampment fire going on. So we'll watch that for you. Boyle Heights on the 5 northbound just after the 510 northern split. It's a wreck with a big rig and 3 cars. 2 left lanes are closed. Little slowing at Cesar Chavez. And Long Beach, there's a hit and run on the 405 north at Long Beach Boulevard. Right lane is blocked. It's just the 1 car. CHP has arrived, so you're going to start to see just a little bit of congestion at that spot. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Robin Banks.
This report is sponsored by Rocket Mortgage. Get personalized loan options, closing costs, and tax estimates all in real time. When you need your mortgage to fit your family and budget, Rocket can. When you want the ability to adjust your loan options in real time, Rocket can. Rocket Mortgage.
Vikings rookie Jalen Twyman was shot 4 times in D.C. The defensive tackle is expected to make a full recovery. Carl Nassib is the first active NFL player to come out as gay. The Raiders defensive end is donating to the Trevor Project, an organization focused on suicide prevention for the LGBTQ community. And Julio Urias struggled on the mound as the Dodgers fell in their series opener against the Padres. Urias gave up 6 runs in his outing. I'm Misty Jordan.
Every day, Caltrans workers risk their lives to make our roads safe. They are someone's loved one. Please use extra caution when you drive through a work zone. Always be work zone alert.
Rates subject to change without notice. Minimum loan amount requirements apply. 60% loan to value and 620 FICO credit score. Certain restrictions apply. Subject to credit approval. NMLS 3290. Loans made or arranged pursuant to a California Finance Lenders Law license number 6036970. Equal housing lender.
Wake up. Have you heard all these great home loan rates being advertised? I mean, how can you not, right? But you probably don't think you qualify. Maybe you've thought to yourself, I'm self-employed, my credit is iffy at best. Whatever it is, IntelliLoan can help you get a great home loan. Right now, the IntelliLoan is offering a 1.99% APR with no points or lender fees. And check this. It's even if your credit score is 620. So you can have just an iffy okay credit score. You can be self-employed. Whatever it is, IntelliLoan wants to help you get that great home loan. So again, they're offering a 1.99% APR with no points or lender fees, even if your credit score is 620. So call IntelliLoan before the rates go up. Call 1-800-918-6200. That's 1-800-918-6200. Or just go to IntelliLoan.com.
IntelliLoan. Borrow smart.
Every time the sun shines in Southern California, which is all the time,
I remember how much money I saved thanks to SolarMax technology.
How much have you saved since you switched?
Let's just say that my energy bills are so low now that I am no longer the thermostat warrior in my house. My AC is practically free.
Your family must be thrilled.
Oh, yeah, the family's thrilled. Listen, I'm thrilled. I have saved with no upfront cost. SolarMax does everything themselves right here in Southern California, and that means exceptional quality control and no middleman.
Right now, get SolarMax for only $69.98 a month, which includes a solar panel system and home battery with an APR as low as 0.99%.
This offer will expire, though, on June 30th. Call pound 250 from your cell phone and say the keyword SolarMax. That's pound 250 SolarMax. Or go to SolarMaxTech.com, SolarMaxTech.com. Monthly payment available on approved credit, CSLB number 97204.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish is
pretty bad.
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind. Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive, bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
No matter your learning style or experience level, Babbel has lessons designed for you that will get you speaking quickly and confidently.
I tried learning Spanish before, but I couldn't stick with it until I found Babbel.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said now he speaks Spanish.
I can't wait to use our new language skills on our upcoming adventures.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Rick Edelman, award-winning radio host and founder of Edelman Financial Engines, takes questions on his radio show. Let's hear his advice on annuities.
Hey, Rick, I'm looking for a good investment. Should I consider a fixed annuity?
Well, fixed annuities aren't really investments, they're insurance products. You'll get a fixed rate of return from them, but it might not be enough to offset taxes and inflation. Most annuity contracts require you to keep the money there for 5 to 10 years, and if you're under age 59 and a half, any withdrawals are subject to a 10% IRS penalty. You should talk, therefore, to a fee-based financial advisor to see if an annuity is right for you, not someone who makes a living earning commissions selling annuities. You want a fiduciary who puts your best interests first.
If you're looking for a trusted partner who's got your back, talk to one of our experienced financial planners by calling 888-PLAN-RICK or visit rickedelman.com.
Hi, it's John and Ken. There's only one app where you can find your favorite radio stations like KFI AM 640 or your favorite music stations and hundreds of thousands of podcasts anywhere you are and anytime you want. It's the free iHeart app. Yeah, and this week it's all about true crime podcasts. From Crime Junkie to Dateline. Or binge captivating series like Exit Scam or The Devil Within. True Crime Podcast Week is here. Ready, set, start listening only on the free iHeart app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one app. I go weeks without writing an email to anybody. I don't like typing. Then you're not trapped with a phone call.
You're supposed to say I gotta go, which is fine, but sometimes I can't do that.
No, I gotta go really works. Like at the pee.
John and Ken.
Right, I make it sound like I have a terrible side movement I'm gonna release.
Weekdays at 2 on KFI.
Welcome to the baby, take control now. We can't even slow down. We don't have to go wild. Welcome to my house. Play the music too loud. Show me what you do now. We don't have to go wild.
Hello. Welcome to a Tuesday. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeart Radio app. This is your wake-up call. I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee. Some of the stories we're watching in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Prosecutors in Orange County have set up a tip line to figure out if a couple charged in the murder of a 6-year-old boy was involved in any other road rage cases. Orange County DA Todd Spitzer says the couple was in a white Volkswagen when Aiden Leos was killed last month on the 55 freeway. Prosecutors say Marcus Ayres and Wynn Lee have admitted to threatening the driver of a blue Tesla with a gun just days after Leos was killed. Now, the couple has pleaded not guilty, but what the prosecutors are really hoping is that they can find the driver of that blue Tesla. So if you're the driver of a blue Tesla who was threatened with a gun on the 55 by a couple in a white Volkswagen, please call the hotline for tips. It's 714-834-7000. 714-834-7000. And an appeals court has blocked a federal judge's decision to overturn the 3 decades-old ban on assault weapons in California. The group issued the ruling yesterday. Earlier this month, a judge in San Diego had ruled the ban violates the constitutional right to bear arms. The state's current assault weapons laws will stay in effect while the case plays out in court. 5:35, we'll talk with ABC's Aaron Katursky. I want to follow up on the Supreme Court ruling that the NCAA cannot limit the education back to benefits that schools that can offer, or cannot limit the benefits that schools can offer athletes. So what's this mean for the ruling on whether schools can pay athletes? Because that's obviously the one everybody's focused on. So I want to know how this will impact that decision. We'll talk more with Aaron about that in just a second.
It's time for Biz Bites. Bites of Business. Biz Bites on Wake Up Call with Jennifer Jones-Lee.
Yesterday was a much, much better day for the Dow. Stocks rebounded on Wall Street, pretty much clawing back most of their losses from last week. And you had the Federal Reserve's reminder last week that is what caused that big jolt, that it will eventually offer less help for the markets. And right now, investors